Mankind has been building tall structures throughout history, but mind-bogglingly tall glass towers are a sign of the new age. They began to be built about 150 years ago in the USA, when elevators began to be installed not only at industrial facilities, but also in residential and office buildings. Before that, the lower floors were considered the most prestigious, and not a single company wanted to have its own office under the roof, because it would simply be difficult for customers to climb using elevators. Everything has changed. The most expensive offices and housing are located on the top floors of skyscrapers. After all, there are better views, cleaner air. Since then, the publication has been at least 150 meters high. Considered skyscrapers. For a long time, the United States remained the main country of skyscrapers, and the city with the tallest buildings. New York, the development of high-rise construction has led to the fact that three categories of skyscrapers have appeared: high, very high over 300 meters, and ultra-high over 600 meters. Today, technology is allowing the world to build better, higher and faster. Skyscrapers are being actively erected in China and Korea and in the countries of the Persian Gulf. The world's tallest building is located in Dubai, Shanghai, Mecca. But New York, the city that started the high-rise module, has ceased to be tall and has long been lagging behind in the race. Why the ancestor of skyscrapers lost its pedestal. See our issue. When in 1870 the first skyscraper was opened in New York, Some Kind was Life building, its owner, Henry Baldwin Hyde, was accused of megalomaniacal headquarters for his insurance company worth over $4 million. Now about 81 million, towered 7 stories above the streets of Manhattan. It was the first office building in the world to be equipped with passenger lifts, and so it became an instant hit with tenants in the late 19th century, as industrialization drove up urban population and land prices, making tall buildings more and more profitable. At the end of 1920s, in New York, the famous race of skyscrapers began at once. 3 buildings that were being built at the same time claimed the title of the tallest in the world. The construction of a skyscraper on Wall Street 40 was completed first. However, just a year later, it was bypassed by the Chrysler Building skyscraper, intended for the world-famous automobile corporation. For the sake of winning the race, the architect William Banal changed the original project in the course of work and crowned the building with a 38-meter spire. It was replaced by an office building twice the height of the 443-meter Empire State Building. The skyscraper broke the record not only in terms of height, but also in terms of the pace of construction. Only 410 days the Empire State Building was opened in 1931 by US President Herbert Hoover. He turned on the lights, publication at the touch of a button in Washington. From 1988 to 1931 in New York, 6 times the tallest buildings in the world were built. The skyscraper race was reinforced by the development of engineering. The development of steel frames that could be used instead of load-bearing masonry simplified and cheapened the construction of tall buildings. The post-war development of production allowed huge glasses to be produced quickly and uniformly. It was then that the now known for glass facades, or as they are also called, curtain walls, appeared. In addition to increasing the amount of natural light, glass facades helped the publication withstand large wind loads, and together with adjustable dampers, huge swinging counterweights, reduce the risk associated with earthquakes and typhoons. All these innovations were embodied in the construction of the World Trade Center with Twin Towers, but alas, the famous New York Twin Towers did not become a symbol of engineering thought on September 11, 2001, hijacked by terrorists. Planes rammed the skyscrapers of the World Trade Center forever, turning the pride of New York into a symbol of the greatest national tragedy. The rubble at the site of the Twin Towers was dismantled 8 months already. In 2006, the 13th year, a new tower of the World Trade Center was built there, and it is much higher than the Twin Towers. 541 against 415 meters, and this is now the tallest building in the United States, but it still does not fall into the mega-tolo elite category of buildings, whose height exceeds 600 meters. So, are there any chances that New York will break the height records of the Burj Khalifa or the Shanghai Tower? Square meters of construction in New York cost investors more than $3,500. For comparison, in Dubai for the same area, you will have to pay $1,340, and in Beijing about $750, respectively, for the Dubai Burj Khalifa, which cost investors $1.5 billion. In New York, they would also spend about $4 billion as skyscrapers take longer to build, and the demand for housing and glass-boxed offices is falling. What are the economic performance of office towers in Manhattan today? Let's take a look at New York's newest office skyscraper, One Vanderbilt 65. The 427-story building, although it is the fourth tallest building in the city, is quite low compared to the Burj Khalifa. The total cost of the land and structure project, including the upgrading of local infrastructure, was about $3.3 billion. Using the expected average office rent of $1,800 per square meter, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic, we get a benefit-to-cost ratio of 9.4% and an estimated return on investment of 4%, which is half the average. Compared to the previous period, due to the cost of skyscrapers, office building, hotels, residential or commercial premises in them have a rental value that is unaffordable for most Americans. For example, in a 60-story building built in 2016, they tried to sell for a long time. The apartment, the total cost of which is more than $2 billion, and the penthouse cost more than $80 million. Few can afford such prices. As a result, investors no longer risk investing in skyscrapers, and another reason for the slow pace of skyscraper construction. The attitude of a city dweller to high-rise buildings. This is especially true in New York, where, at the request of the residents, the authorities force developers to put their objects in such a way that the new skyscraper does not cast a shadow on neighboring residential buildings. Even owning a suitable plot of land in the city does not give you a license to build such a height. As you wish, since your project must comply with the city's strict zoning regulations. Roughly speaking, in order to build a high-rise building, you must purchase air rights from nearby properties under separate legal deals. Unfortunately, and this is the obstacle to the construction of a mega skyscraper in New York, does not run out, even if there was demand. You would be able to find the right size lot and purchase all the air rights you need. Would be left with one last and very emotional hurdle: One World Trade Center is rising from the ground up. In Lower Manhattan, at a height of 1776 feet, a homage to the year of American independence, the skyscraper, often referred to as the Tower and Liberty, is of the utmost importance to many New Yorkers. While there is no official ban on building taller, doing so would be extremely difficult in the face of public outcry. It is unlikely that in the foreseeable future there will be a mayor in New York who will take such an unpopular step to build a building higher than the Freedom Tower. It's a pity, but in the foreseeable future we will see mega-tall skyscrapers in other parts of the world. What do you think? Is it temporary, or New York has lost the palm forever?